Hi Jen, it's good to see you today.
Hi Leah.
Thanks for coming by and chatting today with me about reputation management.
I'm excited to talk about it.
Good. Well, first let's do a quick introduction so everybody knows who you are.
Okay.
So, Jen Hart, Director of Reputation Management at Electronic Caregiver. Tell me about what you do in your day-to-day as Director of Reputation Management.
So reputation management is simply the management of any of the content connected to our company that a person would find online. So if you go in and do a search for our company, and the results of that search and the content that you see is a direct responsibility of mine. Mm-hmm. And so if there's anything negative, we got to go after that and take care of it. And we want to push out as much positive content so that your experience with us is positive and good. That includes infringement cases where another company might want to borrow our name without permission or use our logo and brand. So we go after those. Pretty good at working with Google to get information taken down that may not be accurate. We do some fraud fighting and some scam fighting, and overall just make sure that the general appearance for Electronic Caregiver is good and clean.
I know it keeps you very, very busy.
It does.
So one of the interesting things about this space is the difference between online reputation management and SEO. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because, those two terms are things that maybe people know, but maybe they've heard of it, but they're not really familiar. And I don't think a whole lot of people actually are familiar with the differences of those two things are, right? So tell me a little bit about your thoughts on that.
So SEO, search engine optimization, is in layman's terms, how do I get a person to come to see my content? Right. So how do I get them there? What drives them to come to see what we have to offer? Online reputation management, or ORM, is what do they see when they're there? What do they get when they get there? The biggest thing I think about SEO and ORM is it's never one and done. There, you can't just put one piece of something out there and then that's it. We're good.
That works.
Yeah, and everybody's happy. That's really not how it works. So it's an ongoing, huge piece of what reputation management entails.
Yeah. It's so interesting, all these sites that exist out there, from Indeed to different career boards, and where this whole user-generated society that we live in now, there's so many pros and cons to that. Right. And so from a brand side, it adds another layer of complexity of what you have to deal with.
It does. It absolutely does. We have a fully staffed, talented, incredible marketing team at Electronic Caregiver, and they really do protect our brand and our logo and our color scheme and our palettes and our messaging. A little bit different from what I do. What I do is kind of manage the voice and the results as far as how is that going to appeal to a prospective customer, a prospective investor, the family of a customer. Right. What are we telling them? Where are we coming from?
Yeah, and especially for Electronic Caregiver in the healthcare space, in the technology space, but dealing with very personal issues with people's families, people's relatives that need to be cared for. So, being in this world of there's a lot of people get a lot of bravado by being behind the screen and being able to say what they want to say, right? But being in a sensitive space that needs to be HIPAA compliant and things like that, that just complicates things a lot more. It makes it, I guess, to some degree, maybe more interesting for you to do your job.
It does.
More challenging.
Healthcare can be really sensitive. That can be a very sensitive industry to advertise, to talk about. Sure. One of the things that I find that is so beneficial is that I work for a CEO and the founder of the company who has this passion to protect people. Right. He has this passion to help those that are at risk. And so when you combine his passion with the passion of the company, it completely evolved into that's the voice. And so we get to put out a very positive, proactive voice. And the voice is simply that people can take charge. They can get back involved in their health care. They can take charge of their health care. and they can make a difference in their own healthcare, and that's empowering for people.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I mean, that's, one of the things that we, when we started working together is back to 2019 already. And we've known each other since 2018, but, so excited to see this technology come out there and, be available for so many people across the country and, who knows in the future and around the globe. And I know now the, Addison just rolled out in Spanish, which is amazing.
Yes.
Which just really briefly tell us about Addison, just so.
So Addison is the culmination of a cartoon on a piece of paper at a dining room table from a man who had a heart but had to protect people, to protect the at-risk, and originally started in emergency response systems, like push the button and the handsome firefighter shows up. So he started there because he was noticing that people weren't getting the kind of intervention that they needed within those critical hours. And one of the saddest parts is that an average American citizen living alone, if they fall unattended, the average amount of time they spend on the ground is 18 hours. And so there's so many subsequent health issues that come with that. So one of the things that our CEO wanted to do was to be able to provide them with an opportunity to get immediate intervention. But he also felt like if people could take charge of their own health care, if people had a way to connect with their doctors more than just once every 6 months, which my blood pressure 6 months ago was this and now it's this. It could be so many different
reasons. Yeah.
So Addison is the evolution of emergency response system, a pro health system with peripherals, which provides a person with blood pressure monitoring and little different healthcare vitals intervention. But she's an interactive virtual caregiver on a tablet that knows you, that is very endearing and very engaging, almost game-like. And she also is one that will remind you to take your meds. She's one that will tell you when you need to do your temp or do your weight or do your blood pressure. And the thing that's really cool in the back end of all of that is that all that information is getting to your provider in real time. And it's called remote patient monitoring. There's no one else that's doing it this way and this engaging. I think as one of the older Americans in this country now, it's hard to get people engaged and get them to engage into this highfalutin tech stuff. And this particular product is incredibly engaging. Yeah,
and as all these different voice-activated devices have come into our lives, from Alexa to Portal to all these other ones, right? It's hopefully people become more adopted, and certainly the generations as they age will bring the technology with them, or the comfort with that technology with them. So so it's really exciting stuff on what ECG, Electronic Caregiver, does on the day-to-day.
It is. Yeah, it is. And so when I started, we had 19 people, and we're over 300 now. So it's been really taken off. Growth,
it has. Which has brought you a lot of interesting, growing pains of how do you bring a brand from, a startup company now to a company that has national presence, and the need for somebody in your role, which you've been in this role now for how long?
So I've been in the reputation management role for 18 months, came out of the social media piece, created the first digital marketing department for the company 4.5 years ago. And so I ran that and got it up, got it strong, got all of us trained and well versed in what we needed to be doing. And then I felt like the reputation management piece was a piece that we couldn't give 100% of our time to. So kind of felt like we were grabbing at the back end of a caboose on its way out the door, So we decided to pivot, and it's working really well. Work really close with the digital marketing team on our presence online.
No, it's a great, I think it's been the right evolution for a company like Electronic Caregiver to come into this role, and especially with the unique challenges I think that you guys have faced. You're very involved in battling a slew of online scammers. So this, I know this is a big headache of yours on a very regular basis, daily basis even. So tell us a little bit about what's involved in that side, because that's maybe something when reputation management comes up, most brands are thinking, well, I got to respond to my Google reviews, but there's this whole other side. Tell us about that.
Well, you do have to respond to those reviews.
Yes.
So timely and honestly and authentically, you need to respond to those reviews. Right. But what happened in our situation was about 7.5 years ago, our CEO's identity was stolen by a team of scammers out of Nigeria. And they were using his images of his children and his name to create fake profiles to engage unsuspecting victims into romance scams. And so romance scams and romance fraud, they have a new term in 2023, which is kind of disgusting because it's their term, but it's called pig butchering now. And that entails trying to get every last dollar or dime from that victim as possible. Wow. Slaughter the pig, get every last dime possible. And by using that terminology, it helps them remove from the fact that they're actually scamming a human being.
Yeah. That's terrible.
The downside of, the money is bad enough. We've had I've engaged now with nearly 400 victims over the last 7.5 years, and we have logged in now since we started tracking the amount over $6 million in fraud that these victims have lost to romance scammers. Just before I came down today, I reported 27 profiles this morning, and so we do our best to deal with all the different platforms. This is on most social media, a lot of dating platforms, although some of them are starting to be proactive in this area. We're super involved.
Yeah.
So one of the things that, as part of my job, I was given the opportunity to become a founding board member for advocating against romance scams. Right. And AARS is an awareness 501c3. We do engage with victims, but we also are big on the lobby in Congress, and we're really pushing for legislation that will come in and not allow some of these platforms to look the other direction and enable these scammers to take these women's money.
Yeah, it's amazing that these things still happen at the rate that they happen. You would think that the technology on these social platforms would be better to, pick up the same programs that these people use, because it seems like the same sort of lines are fed to people, and then for those, unfortunately, that start those conversations, which leads to
Well, I mean, definitely the argument is that they've looked the other direction. There's hundreds of false profiles on, say, Instagram, for instance, that are using my CEO's images and the images of his kids. And so we think, okay, well, they're just fake and these women are stupid for engaging. But I think what most of the public does not understand is how educated and well-versed they are in the psychological manipulation of a victim. And so not only are we dealing with victims who have lost monetary life insurance policies, got a second mortgage on my house, and now I'm losing it. I mean, the stories are horrendous. But I think for me, part of the biggest issue is the emotional impact.
Sure.
And so
and you're the one who's hearing from those people directly.
Yeah, and they just feel devastated and stupid, and it's nice to be able to let them know you're not the only one. We deal with this all the time. Yeah. These people know what they're doing. They're experts in what they're doing. So it's nice to be able to be a positive voice in that moment of crisis, and get them connected to resources that can help them kind of walk out the rest of the story for themselves, and take back some charge. So
somebody becomes a victim of this. What would you tell them to do?
Well, first thing I'm going to tell you to do is I'm going to tell you to disconnect all of your devices from that scammer, or those people that were in contact, or that you've been texting with or videoing with or whatever. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, unfortunately, let you know that you weren't talking to one person. That chances are very likely that you were talking to an entire team of people, and that's why your boyfriend, quote unquote, was always available
Yeah.
Because there was an entire team of people that were working together to get as much money from you as possible, including some women that come in and also give their input and their voice to what you're doing and what they think that means. How to
say something the right way. Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then one of the arguments we get is, I saw you on video, though, that this happened on video. And, you know, with the deep fake and the AI now, it's even going to get worse, I'm afraid. The second thing, after I tell you to disconnect from everyone, is I'm going to send you over to the FBI to file an IC3 form. I can help you do that if we need to do that. Any screenshots you have of money transfers, those kind of things. And then we're going to warn you that after this is all said and done and they realize you've realized what's going on, there'll be a time of quiet. And then it's very possible that you're going to be contacted by a company that's going to help you get your money back.
Oh, wow. Really? I didn't know about that
And
part.
that's the same team.
Oh.
They'll only charge you $1,500, but they'll be able to get the $10,000 back.
Oh, wow.
And it's the same group.
Yeah. Well, to your point, slaughtering the pig, right?
Right.
Whatever
Every
you can
last
get.
time. Yes. So we've gone undercover on Facebook. We've watched Yahoo Boys literally sell my boss's information. Apparently he makes his likeness makes a lot of money, and so we've actually been undercover in real time and watched them sell his information and recorded that.
Wow.
We're working with a couple of congressmen right now on some legislation for 2024. I'm super excited about.
Is there ever any hope for these people to get their money back, or unfortunately no?
It's pretty much gone.
Yeah.
By the time it's transferred into that bank account, you give it 3 minutes and it's pretty much gone. So
let's kind of just shift gears a little bit, because we've been talking a lot about I'd say that I call it the consumer side of this industry. So you have all this knowledge that you've gained over the last almost 2 years of doing this. How do you bring that in-house to ECG and share the wealth of your knowledge with the rest of the staff?
Wow. Well, one of the things that being a fraud fighter now, I guess I'm official, has taught me and I have absorbed and learned so much over the last 7 years because of that particular situation that we deal with. And opened up this world of cybersecurity for our company.
Yeah.
And although I don't get in and do the technical back end algorithms and logging in and data collection, one of the things that I can do is that I can educate our workforce. And so we, like most companies across the United States, have been recipients of hack attempts, of scammers, text messages as well as email messages, phone calls. And so one of the things that I actually enjoy doing is every Friday I put together what's called the Friday Fraud Fight email. And so every Friday our entire corporation will receive an email about a specific cyber connected security issue, whether that's this is what a text message could look like, this is what a credit card scam could look like, this is what an email could look like, and those are so varied. There's so many versions of the emails that come in. So we're teaching our staff, this is how you look at that address to see, this is how you look at that sender address and what does that look like. But they come from seemingly reputable places like Dropbox and Google and Microsoft. We had a string of emails come through a couple of weeks ago from Microsoft that we were all running out of space for our data.
Really?
And we needed to click this link in order to. So don't click has been a really big mantra.
It's an important one.
Yes. And then they report to me. So if they receive one, they send that to me and we log it. And so we have a log of everything that's come in. And we do feel that somehow some of those are connected to the scammers who have gone after my boss's
that are already in your world.
They know that he works there and he's the CEO. So
we get one all the time, and it looks like it's coming from somebody in the company until, of course, you look at the email address and you're like, I know that's not their email, wanting to change their direct deposit.
Right.
Probably 3 times a week I get this. So that's a popular one in this.
Yeah, we received a couple of those this last week. One from a staff member who hadn't been there for over a year. Yeah,
I know. I'm like, their databases are not very accurate sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that was a good giveaway was their incorrect use of the English language, punctuation issues.
Right.
but with AI now,
Mm-hmm.
and that's going to be much, much more difficult to discern.
Sure.
And so we've decided we need to take our training up a level, because they have definitely signed on to these new abilities to sound human.
Yeah, that's a good segue to the next question about trends. I mean, because all everybody right now wants to talk about is AI, and it really has infiltrated every industry in different ways.
Right.
So besides AI, what are some other trends that you see out there right now, good or bad, and what do you think?
Well, the AI, I think, used well, can be a very, very positive impact on our company. In fact, we've engaged in some partnerships recently that are going to affect our use of AI coming in 2024.
Yeah.
So we're super excited about announcing that next year. I have to tell you, though, one of the trends that I'm not a fan of, at least not in the healthcare industry, is the influencers. And the reason that I say that, and I know there's probably a collective groan right now, is that healthcare is so fractional in the sense that there's so many levels, so many different things. Whether one person has a terminal illness, or another person has a heart issue, or another person has an eye issue, or this person has,
and the sensitivity you need in healthcare.
Right, yeah, well, with the HIPAA requirements and all of that. So what I find is, and what I'm seeing is, this general overall statements that are made in healthcare by some of these influencers that don't know anything about the cancer that person's suffering from, or that issue that other person's suffering from. And so I think as a company, sometimes you have to balance out the cost of utilizing that influencer with the target audience that you're actually trying to reach. And is that person going to resonate with that particular audience?
Yeah, something definitely to spend a lot of time carefully weighing the pros and cons of it, and seeing if it's right for your business. And just because it's popular at the moment doesn't mean it's right for everybody.
Truth, that's truth. And when I look at it, I feel like the healthcare industry, there's so many factions to that industry that it's almost impossible not to generalize a message.
Right.
If you're going to use somebody for the overall.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, you really have to know intimately, especially, with Electronic Caregiver, how fast your technology has evolved, and being able to stay on top of what's the right thing that you want to get out there to the public at the right time.
Right. Talk to me about my challenge. Talk to me about my, that's one of our goals, is to talk to you specifically about what your life is doing and what your health is doing, and how we can come along and support that.
Yeah. Oh, good. Well, Jen, it's been awesome to have you here and talk about reputation management and your role, and really appreciate you coming down and chatting.
I would be remiss if I didn't end this with, I didn't know a lot. I was hired as a creative writer into a little tiny startup company, and a few years in is when we met, and I think having your professionalism, your company's professionalism, your staff alongside has made this transition and this growth possible.
Thank you.
And the fact that it's just quality, it's all the better. It makes it all the better. So thank you for everything that you've done for us in our growth, and me specifically in mine. Wearing 17 different hats in the last 7 years has not been an easy thing.
It's been a great ride together.
It has been. It's been a lot of fun.
Help the company grow, and as all these new challenges, whether it's challenge of new technology or challenge of reaching a new audience, or it's been a fun journey so far, and there's just such amazing things to come.
Well, the thing that I love too about Sinuate is that we have been able to utilize you where we needed to utilize you, and our weak areas, you have strengthened those, whether it's been through teaching us or doing the work, or both alongside, digging the ditches together. So really, really appreciate all of that.
Thank you. It's been a great partnership.
We recommend you. We definitely recommend you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Well, thanks, Jen.
Okay.
Always good to see you.
Thank you.